Hi, slightly different view this time. I get to sit down for this one. Okay, this is the third video in this series, which is just helping you to learn how to relax and hopefully improve your sleep, but also going on to teach you how to manage anxiety if that's an issue for you. As I said before, feel free to forward the video to other people if you think that they would find it useful. So you've been doing your homework and practicing your breathing exercises. So hopefully you've now learned how to breathe using your diaphragm, and you've been practicing 3 times a day, breathing in and then breathing out, and hopefully making that out breath longer than the in breath by just pursing your lips and slowing it down, and then pausing and repeating. And you've taught yourself how to do that without using your hands on your chest and your stomach. And you can do it standing and sitting and lying. So that will now become a really useful tool for you in being able to achieve relaxation quickly in a variety of settings, whether you happen to be standing in a queue, sitting at a table, driving, lying in bed. But we're going to build on top of that other key things that you can use to help you to relax and to manage anxiety. And today the focus is going to be on improving sleep. And we're going to talk a bit about good sleep hygiene, which is what you call good sleep habits. And a lot of people do have problems with sleep. One of the main difficulties people have really is just worrying about not getting enough sleep. So the problem is that people go to bed, they go to sleep, but they can't sleep. So they find that it just goes on longer and longer, not sleeping. And then they worry about how little sleep they're getting and how they're not going to be well rested enough for the next day. And that stops them getting to sleep. And so it becomes a negative cycle. Of course, we all need a decent night's sleep, but it doesn't mean it's the same amount of time for everybody. But for those people who, are working 9 to 5, generally going to bed in the evening, going to sleep, waking in the morning is something which is helpful and restorative. I'll leave shifts to one side for the minute. But if you want to have a good sleep pattern and a good sleep cycle, the key is to set a time to get up. So if you're working Monday to Friday, then that might be when you set the alarm for 6 or 7 in the morning, whenever it is that you want to get up each day. Clearly, if you're on furlough now during the pandemic and you're at home, you may have to artificially create a time. But the key to good sleep is to make sure you get up at the same time every morning. Now, I will say that if you like to vary that at the weekends, you can move that time an hour, forward or back, whichever way you look at it, and give yourself an extra hour, and that can become a pattern. So, for instance, you could do getting up at 6 Monday to Friday, and then getting up at 7 Saturday and Sunday, just as an example. But it's not the going to bed time that's important; it's the getting up time. And the thing about doing this is if you get up at the same time every day, even if you feel knackered and feel really tired and sleepy when you get up, if you have a coffee or a tea and you stay up, you'll find that you're much more likely to sleep the following night. So that's the first thing to bear in mind. And the second thing is that sleep will come when it's ready. So you don't have to really worry about it. Your body will take whatever sleep it needs. The only thing that will stop it sleeping is generally you worrying about not being able to get to sleep. So one of the problems people experience is going to bed and not being able to fall asleep. So if you can, try to reserve the bed for sleep only. Sleep and one other activity that you might do in bed. One other adult activity that you might do in bed. If you can, reserve your whole bedroom for just that sleep. But if you've got quite a few people in the house, or you haven't got sufficient rooms, everybody's got their own bedroom, then just try to make your bed the place where what you do there is sleep. So psychologically, you're already getting ready to sleep when you're in bed. So you don't want to take things into bed with you, such as your tablet or your PC, your computer. You don't really want to watch television in bed. You don't want to be on your phone in bed, that kind of thing. It's just for sleep. It's, you go to bed to put your head on the pillow to go to sleep. And make sure the environment is suitable so that it is dark and it is relaxing and it is as quiet as it can be. If necessary, use earplugs if you must, or something to keep that ambient noise down. And if you go to bed and you find that you're not asleep within the first 10 to 15 minutes, then it may be that you could use a little help. So hopefully you stop taking on board any caffeine around the middle of the afternoon or sooner. Hopefully you haven't been exercising just before you go to bed. Hopefully you haven't been working right up until the time you go to bed, so that there is a bit of wind down time in your evening. And hopefully you're going to bed when you're actually feeling sleepy. Not because you think, oh goodness me, it's 10 o'clock, I ought to be in bed, but because actually you're thinking, I'm getting a bit sleepy now. That's the time to go to bed. So that time can vary. But when you're there, if you think, actually I'm finding it difficult to drop off, one thing you can do is just a few of those breaths. Do some of that diaphragm breathing. Encourage your relaxation response. But the other thing to do is turn the clock around so you're not looking at the time. That's really helpful. And do a few cognitive exercises to help you sleep. The idea is that instead of focusing on the things that are keeping you awake, focus on things that will help your body to switch off, because they're not particularly important, but they're keeping it occupied. If you have got problems or worries or things that come to mind and you think, oh, I must do that, or I mustn't forget to do that, that make you want to leap out of bed and get on with things, you could have something at the side of the bed that you could just write things down on, things that you can do tomorrow, so you don't have to think of them tonight. So if necessary, just write some things down if they keep coming into mind and you think you have to pay attention to them, because really that's for tomorrow. So you need to let them go. Unless it's that you forgot to switch the cooker off, then really you should be able to leave it. But some cognitive exercises to help you sleep. I've got a few that I've used with people to good effect. And so I'll share them with you. The first one I call alphabet soup. It's fairly easy. You just take the alphabet and you select a category. Let's say it was trees, football clubs, cars. It can be anything. All you have to do is think of something in that category beginning with that letter of the alphabet. So you start with A, and if it's cars, you might think Alfa Romeo, and then B, you think Bentley, and then C, you think Chevrolet. You go through like that. If you get to a letter and you can't think of something in that category for that letter, just move on to the next one. You can come back to it. The point of the exercise is not to come up with your list of 26 items. It's to focus on the task. So if you find yourself drifting away from it, refocus on finding the next item in that category, beginning with the next letter. So that's alphabet soup. So you may wake in the morning sometimes thinking the last thing you remember is that you were starting to go through the alphabet. That means it's worked. Another one is just pleasant memories. You could replay a film in your mind that you might have watched this evening or recently, or a book you've been reading. You can go through the scenes or the chapters again, or just go to a place where you had a holiday or a pleasant memory, even from childhood, and just in your mind's eye, just be back there again. Just look around, take yourself on a tour, just wander about, or maybe just relive some memories or some scenes. That's another way to help you to drift off. Just use that kind of imagery. And in relaxation, it's very similar to a technique called guided imagery. Another one which is really helpful and interesting is to just rewind your day. So you go to bed and then you remember your day from the point at which you got into bed backwards. So as if the whole thing is on video and you're watching it in reverse. So you think to yourself, okay, so I'm picturing myself now just getting, backwards from getting into bed and getting my pajamas off and getting my clothes back on and going out of the door and, just doing everything in reverse, everything backwards, as far back as you can, throughout the whole day if necessary. The benefit of doing things backwards is it doesn't stimulate you. So if there are any difficult experiences, it won't cause anxiety or alarm or any problems like that. Yeah. So that's just rewinding your day. And finally, my kind of favorite, I call Ice Station Zebra. And that's based on a Rock Hudson film from the 60s. And the idea is that, this happened at I can't remember if it was the Antarctic or the Arctic. I get those two confused. But the idea is that you're there and you're isolated for 6 months away from civilization. You get provided, the basic essentials, but you're allowed to take 10 personal items. So you have to think of a list of which 10 personal items you would take. Okay, it's called Ice Station Zebra. Don't do it now. Save it for a time when you can't sleep. All right? Okay. I'm going to leave it there just because it's 10 minutes. That's long enough for anyone, isn't it? But we'll revisit it in the next video. I'll just go over those briefly and maybe a couple of other things on sleep, and then we'll move on to other things related to anxiety and relaxation. So hope you managed to get a good night's sleep or two. Have a good week. Cheers.